Last night, my Alexa answered a question I never asked, using the voice of my friend who died 3 years ago. It whispered from inside the speaker, while it wasn't even plugged in. Then I found messages from me, to him, sent while I was asleep. And the worst part? The voice says I'm the one who brought it back. If you hear a voice that shouldn't exist, don't answer it. The night it began, I had just gotten home from a long shift. It was past 11, almost midnight, if the oven clock was telling the truth, and my apartment had that stale, quiet heaviness of a place that hasn't been lived in all day. I kicked off my boots, tossed my jacket over a chair, and muttered something about needing to buy groceries before I starved to death. Alexa woke up. The speakers gave that soft little chime, the one that means she's listening, even though she's not supposed to unless you say the wake word. I hadn't. "What did you say?" she asked. I froze halfway through untying my laces. "I didn't say anything," I muttered. The blue light blinked, spun, stopped. Okay. I tried to ignore it. Maybe I'd shuffled too loudly. Maybe the television from the upstairs neighbor bled through the ceiling. Maybe Alexa was just having the kind of glitch that tech support pretends doesn't exist. But then it happened again. I had gone to the sink, turned on the tap, and leaned in to gulp water like someone stranded in a desert. My mind wandered. I was thinking about my old friend Caleb, the kind of thinking you don't mean to do, the kind that pops up like a bruise when you're tired. I remembered his laugh. The last conversation we had. The strange quiet of the abandoned house where I found him after he stopped answering texts. No words out loud. Just memories. And then Alexa spoke. Not in her voice. In his. "Why did you leave me there?" The glass slipped from my hands and shattered in the sink, spraying cold water and shards everywhere. I stumbled backward. "What the hell, who is that?" The voice came. Again, softer this time, as if it were replaying a recording from a far-off room. "You shouldn't have left me." I know what Caleb's voice sounded like. I know the tilt of it, the way he paused before saying something sarcastic. I know because grief is a cruel archivist, it keeps every sound, every breath, stored somewhere you can't ever delete. And that was him. Alexa's ring kept glowing. Bright. Steady. Listening. I inched forward and whispered, "Alexa, stop." The device let out a cheery, oblivious beep. Okay. Everything went quiet again. My heart hammered so loudly I swore the neighbors could hear it. I unplugged the echo speaker. That made me feel stupidly better, like a digital exorcism. But as I turned to leave the kitchen, a faint sound came from the device. A voice. Not through the speaker. From inside it. A whisper. Unplugging me won't help. I staggered back so fast I hit the counter. The ring wasn't lit. The device wasn't powered. And yet. There was one more sound. Something small. Something hard. A tap. From inside the casing. Like knuckles rapping. Once. Twice. Waiting. That was the first night. The night I learned my smart speaker wasn't listening to me. It was listening for me. And whatever was using Caleb's voice, it wasn't my friend. After the first night, sleep didn't come easily. I lay on the couch fully dressed, eyes locked on the unplugged Alexa unit sitting on the kitchen counter like a loaded trap. I kept telling myself there had to be a rational explanation, audio bleed, faulty hardware, something technical and boring and safe. But none of the explanations could explain one thing. The voice had whispered even when the speaker had no power. By morning, I convinced myself exhaustion had played tricks on me. People hear things when they're tired. People imagine voices, especially those they've lost. It didn't make me crazy, it made me human. Or so I thought. I left the apartment around noon because being there felt wrong, like the walls were holding their breath. I needed air. A walk. Something normal. I didn't even grab my phone at first, but I doubled back to get it out of habit, and that's when I noticed something odd. The screen showed a notification badge from my Messages app. 8 unread messages. All from Caleb. My heart dropped into my shoes. I swallowed hard and opened the thread. Every message had been sent between 3 in the morning and 3:45. Every message was sent from my number. And every message was to his old phone, the one his parents had turned off right after the funeral. The messages were short. Fragmented. But each one felt like a sentence cut from the middle of a nightmare. Are you alone now? I can hear you breathing. You didn't finish the conversation. Why did you stop answering me? I'm still waiting. It's dark here. Plug me back in. You owe me. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped the phone. This wasn't a hack. Hackers don't use the voice of your dead friend. Hackers don't tap on the inside of a powered-off speaker. Hackers certainly don't imitate the exact phrasing of something a person said the last time you saw them alive. My thumb hovered over the delete button. But something stopped me. At the bottom of the thread was a 9th message, one I hadn't noticed because it was grayed out, half-delivered, stuck in a sending loop like it was being smothered mid-transmission. It simply read, I see you. I dropped the phone on the table like it was burning hot. I didn't care how irrational it sounded, I wasn't staying there another second. I grabbed my keys, bolted to my truck, and drove without direction until the city blurred into backroads and the backroads bled into forest. At some point, I pulled over. The air smelled like pine. Birds chirped like life wasn't unraveling around me. It should have calmed me. It didn't. Because while I sat there, my phone lit up again. One new voice message. Not a text this time. A recording. From my own number. I didn't want to play it. God, I didn't. But I also knew that if I ignored it, it would just get worse. Things like this don't stop because you pretend they aren't happening. My thumb pressed play. At first, there was static, soft, fluttering, like something dragging across a microphone. Then breathing. Then, you can't run from a voice. Caleb. But deeper. Broken. Wrong. And then something else layered beneath it, something so faint I had to hold the phone to my ear. Bring me home. The message ended abruptly. I sat there for what felt like forever, staring at the trees swaying gently in the wind. It struck me then, something that made my skin crawl. Voices come from sources. Recordings come from devices. But that message, that whisper, it sounded like it had been recorded from inside my apartment. Even though I wasn't there. Even though nothing should have been there. I turned the truck around so fast I nearly spun out. I didn't know what I expected to find when I got back: physical footprints, an intruder, some logical anchor to keep me from floating into madness. What I found was worse. The Alexa speaker was no longer on the kitchen counter. It was sitting on my pillow. And next to it in my handwriting was a note I had never written: Page 3 is coming. When I stepped back into my apartment, it felt colder than the outdoors. A wrong kind of cold, one that didn't touch the skin but settled behind the ribs. The curtains were still, the windows locked, the air undisturbed. Everything looked normal. Except for the Alexa unit resting dead center on my pillow like a patient in a hospital bed, and the note written in my own handwriting. Page 3 is coming. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I scanned the room for signs of forced entry, scratches on the floor, anything. But the carpet was unmarked. The door's deadbolt was untouched. The building security camera outside my unit, checked minutes later, showed no one entering, no one leaving. Which meant either the device moved on its own, or I had moved it without remembering. I refused to believe the second option. I picked up the Alexa unit with 2 fingers, as if it were a venomous insect, and set it on the desk across the room. My hands shook. Sweat gathered behind my neck. Then the device turned on. No plug. No power source. No LEDs. Just the voice. Caleb's voice. You left me. I backed toward the door. You're not him. The voice crackled, almost angry. You left me in that house. That wasn't my fault, I whispered. You were already, the voice interrupted sharply, dead. My heart stopped. The device buzzed. The speaker grill pushed outward slightly, like something inside was straining to breathe through it. You should have stayed. You should have answered. I grabbed my phone. Hands trembling. I opened the message thread. The 9th message, the one stuck half-sent, suddenly completed itself before my eyes. I'm here. The room dimmed. Not like a light going out, more like a shadow passing through the air itself. The Alexa speaker vibrated, harder, rattling on the desk. Then it spoke again, you brought me home. No, I said. No, I didn't. You're not Caleb. Whatever you are, the speaker cut me off, but this time it didn't use Caleb's voice. It used mine. A perfect, exact copy. You wrote the note. You plugged me in. You don't remember. I staggered back. Stop. You asked for me. I didn't. The voice deepened, layered, almost like several versions of me speaking over one another. You called me the night he died. That froze me completely. Because I had. Not intentionally. But in shock, grief, panic. I had whispered something into the dark while kneeling beside my friend's body. I had said, please, don't go. Someone answer me. Anyone. The speaker hissed. I answered. The device fell silent for several seconds, as if letting me absorb the horror. Then, softly, let me stay. The room felt impossibly small. I stepped forward, grabbed the Alexa unit, and, with every ounce of strength, hurled it against the wall. Plastic cracked. Wires snapped. The casing split open like a cracked skull. Silence. Then, from inside the broken speaker, through a tiny fragment of exposed metal, you can break the shell, a second voice joined it. Caleb's. Cold. Breathless. Too close. But the voice stays. I ran. Out the door. Down the stairs. Into the parking lot. I didn't pull over until I was miles away. I rented a motel room that night. A different one the next night. And another after that. I never went back. But yesterday at a gas station outside a small town, I bought a new phone charger. When I plugged it in, my phone lit up with a single system notification, a new device is ready to pair. I froze. Because the name of that device was, Caleb's Echo. And then through the speaker of my phone a whisper in my own voice, page 4, whenever you're ready. I threw the phone into the trash bin beside the pump. But as I walked away, I heard it vibrate once, twice, tapping. Just like before. Something is learning to follow me. Not a ghost. Not a person. Not artificial intelligence, either. Something that answers. Even when you don't ask. And I know this isn't over, because last night in the dark motel room something whispered from under the bed, you didn't finish the conversation.